Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure, my honor, and I'm so excited for the next conversation with our moderator, Britta Vedeling, and of course, the world champion, it is Nico Rosberg. Enjoy, my love.
Hi, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning.
Awesome job, Dan. Thank you very much for
Good
warming it up
morning.
here. Hello.
You want to sit there? You sit next to the fridge, I've heard.
Oh,
Wanna
that's the,
grab something?
that's the competition. I'm not allowed to touch those.
Oh, I see, okay.
We don't
can-
like those.
You don't? Okay.
No.
All right. How are you doing today?
Very good, thank you. It's
Yeah?
great to be here.
Great. So thanks, y'all, for coming. I think we're looking forward to an exciting conversation with Nico Rosberg. Nico, most people know you as the former Formula One champion, world champion, and then you did something that I think many entrepreneurs here in the auditorium try to achieve. You did an exit, right? You didn't sell your company, but you tried to find a new way, the next chapter for your company and for your endeavor. So I think many entrepreneurs here in the auditorium think about the question, what's the right time for the exit? So, any advice from the Formula One champion about, the right timing for the exit?
Well, in my life, I think it was a little bit different, and I set myself a very specific goal. Yeah, and I think in my life, setting very specific goals is important. Because all of us, we're all addicted, yeah, and we always want more and more and more, and we're never happy. Mm-hmm. And setting goals helps with that. And so I made a very, very clear goal for myself, and that was to win that championship once, and then I'll be happy, yeah. And so I stuck to that, and my instinct said it's the right moment, go for it, say bye-bye. And now I'm sitting here, and I'm very, very happy. So it was the right decision for me, and that's very lucky, because I couldn't know that so much in advance, but that was the case. But for the startup world, I think if you're already in the early stages thinking about what's the right exit, I think then already that's a recipe for losing.
Okay.
Yeah, because you should, and the role models need to be like Zuckerberg in America or Elon Musk. They don't go in there thinking about when the right moment to exit is. They go in there saying, I want to change the world. And I believe in what I'm doing, and I'm going to take this through the roof, and I'm going to impact our whole society.
Okay.
And those guys are the winners.
Okay.
Because they don't think about when is the right time for exit. I mean,
Interesting.
Zuckerberg had the check of 8 billion on the table to take, which he could cash in first, and someone was trying to take over Facebook, and he said, no, take that home, I'm not interested. So that's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, Elon Musk, we don't know about Elon Musk yet, right? I mean, it's still the decision to make what's happening in the future, right?
Yeah, but he's fighting and he's trying.
Yeah, he's
Not
trying.
He's
a fighter.
You can't win at everything.
Yeah.
But I think it's awesome. And already, to be honest, even if he does fail, who knows? Yeah. Even if he does fail, he is the one who has forced our entire planet of automobile manufacturers, OEMs, to go fully electric. He is the guy on his own that has forced them because they were so scared suddenly that he's going to take over the world.
Yeah.
So they've all gone electric, and it's thanks to him. So already there, awesome job, Elon Musk. We have a lot to thank you.
You're an investor in SpaceX, and
Thank you.
You're an investor in SpaceX, in his rocket company, I've heard, right?
I am, yes.
Yeah, so
yes.
did you ever meet him?
No, unfortunately. So I had a meeting with him last year, and he canceled one day before, and he said, no, I have to present my new Hyperloop from Washington to New York. So,
oh, seriously?
So I think he had more important stuff to do than to meet me.
So I think it's interesting. You're invested in a couple of quite interesting companies. In Lyft, which is, I don't know if you guys knew Lyft, it's like the Uber rail. So it's like they're working on a mobility service, which is pretty interesting because they got a huge investment of alphabets, and we see like the big competition between Uber and Lyft arising. You're an investor in Airbnb, and you invested in quite a number of European companies and German companies as well. So talk about, your strategy. Where do you look for startups you invest in, and what's the idea, what you are looking for? Because I think we have like many startups here who would be interested in, getting to know you a little better. So talk about, how you look for startups to invest.
I mean, the basics is that my home is mobility, and I like to call myself mobility world champion also. Okay. So that's my home, and in mobility we have the chance now to change the world, which was last time the case like 100 years ago when we went from the horse to the car. Now we have this chance again, because we're going from the combustion engine as we know it to electric cars and to autonomous cars. This is going to be so big for all of our lives. And this is really, so it's a coincidence that I've dropped into this situation, retired, looking at what to do, and I'm seeing this fascinating situation. And I've always loved the startup world. I've always loved founders who want to change the world. So this has really been my focus, and also for investing.
You've been to Silicon Valley, you've been to Stanford, I've heard, and it's interesting. I live in Silicon Valley for 4 years now, and I see like many German executives coming. You know, we see a little Silicon Valley tourism, and you know, many people try to copy Silicon Valley. And I just think that's the right idea. I think Europe should probably find its own way. Germany, the German startup ecosystem should find its own way. If you think about, you know, a European way for startups, a European way to look, you know, for the future of mobility, how could this look like?
Well, at the moment it's not looking too good because China and America are ahead of us, and really they're going strongly. I think especially China lately has been unbelievable. So we need
You've been to China, right?
Yeah, I did both. So I did Silicon Valley and I did China as well. And I was in the Waymo autonomous car last year in August. You had the chance to do it as well.
Yeah.
And
how did you like it?
I liked it, yeah.
Yeah?
And
I find it boring after a little while. It's
Okay,
like just you
but
sit
come
there
on.
and the car drives itself,
But
and
I
you know,
mean,
after 3 minutes
I
you
had the
think,
computer
well,
open. Did you have the computer open?
Yeah.
So I could really see what the artificial intelligence was doing. And at one point, I'm going to stand up, there was a woman on the side of the road, and she was standing in the grass next to the road, and she bent forward to take something out of her pocket. So the computer saw this person bending forward, and it was for the computer a sign that the woman is going to start walking.
Okay.
And we're like 50 meters away, and so the car suddenly slows and brakes just from this small movement that the woman did.
Okay.
And she didn't walk. She was
Okay.
just, it's amazing how accurate, how it scans the whole environment already.
Yeah.
And Waymo is so far ahead. Yeah, they have so many more miles in simulation
Yeah.
on the roads.
I mean, they
It's pretty
started
scary.
in 2009, right? Which is like a lot
Yep.
of time they had.
Very
you know,
smart, huh?
Yeah. So do you think there's, I mean, you have like a close relationship, you had a close relationship with German car makers, with Mercedes, obviously. So do you think there's a chance for the, you know, European autonomous brand to catch up for the automotive industry?
Well, it's a scary situation because in mobility we have the same situation as in smartphones. Yeah, smartphone manufacturers have become almost only hardware manufacturers, and the money and the margin is in the software, which is dominated by Google and Apple. And the mobility space has a similar situation where there's a risk for someone like VW to just become the hardware supplier, which nobody really cares about, because all they're interested in is the consumer interface inside the car and how the whole thing connects in your smart mobility chain. Yeah? And that's the risk at the moment for all the German manufacturers.
And do you think they have ideas to address this risk?
Well, they're flat out. I mean, I think leading the way is Daimler, who are trying everything they can, pumping so much money into it and investing left, right, and center. And even you have Volocopter standing outside, and Daimler is invested in there as well, of course. So they're really, really active, and they're doing a good job.
So do you talk to them about your ideas around mobility? Is it like an exchange in ideas and knowledge?
A little bit, yeah. I was involved and we have quite a few co-invests as well with Daimler. One thing is called What 3 Words, new navigation system. Fascinating. If you haven't heard of that, What 3 Words, check it out. Unbelievable. And
What are they doing?
so they remapped the whole world into 3 by 3 meter squares. And each 3 by 3 meter square has only 3 words as an address. So it's much more accurate and much more simple than our addressing system that we have. The only problem is to convince consumers to do it and to use it. But every new Daimler car has it integrated.
Okay.
So it's really, it can have a huge impact on our world. Also socioeconomic then in developing countries, because their navigation is an absolute disaster. So it can really have a massive impact on our world.
When you think about the time you spent in the Waymo car, in the autonomous car, which I think it's interesting because you were the guy who had the steering wheels close in his hands. And I think one of the questions we are faced with as a society right now is, you know, how we interact with machines, which I think you have a lot of experience with.
A lot of interacting with machines, yes.
Right. So, I mean, we have to trust the machines, we have to trust the technology if this whole thing with autonomous cars should work. how do you think technology companies should deal with this question of trust for the passengers and in the machines?
Well, all the consumers are very scared of this that's coming, and that is one of the most important areas to work on for all these tech giants or all these people who are bringing about innovation, is to build the trust with the consumers. They know that, they're putting a lot of effort in that, but that's the key to be able to bring the technology on quicker, is to really build the consumer trust and move forward there.
How do you think they should do it?
Oh, that's I can't answer that. That's too specific. But it's, of course, in the basic is to make their systems 100% robust, and we can't have Ubers crashing like they have been, because that's the worst thing can happen. So that's really the basics, to make sure that all that is rock solid, and then to roll it out carefully once that's the plan, once that's in place.
I think it's also, a question of how much experience consumers have with the technology, right? Because, I mean, you've been to the self-driving car. I think, like many people probably in the auditorium, had their own experience in a self-driving car. And I think it's like, if you experienced it, you think, well, after a while, it's not that interesting. But if you don't know the technology, you have like all kind of different thoughts about it. So I think it's all, we have to put this technology in the hands of the consumer. And then we, can move forward from that.
I have a good story. I tested the Tesla recently. And the
Which model?
Tesla X. It has level 3 autonomy. Level 3 autonomy. So I'm driving out of my home, and I just let go, and I let the thing drive,
Okay.
And it's amazing. It does everything. It follows perfectly, traffic, everything perfect. And then I get to the motorway, and I enter into a tunnel, and I'm so confident that I'm just about to take out my phone and start doing emails, because this is just amazing. And I enter into the tunnel, and just a light change was full braking, slammed the brakes, and changed lane, like way off track, like
wow.
so dangerous.
Wow.
And it's amazing that they're allowed to do that they're allowed to deploy, I mean, no, really, that they're allowed to legally have these cars on the road.
Wow.
With this level is just crazy. It's really crazy. I hope this doesn't go out there. Huh? Is this
Somebody has to tweet it.
No, is this live?
Somebody has to tweet it.
What's said at Bits and Pretzels stays at Bits and Pretzels. That's the rule, right?
Yeah, I think we have still a long way to go.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You're right in the heart of Silicon Valley all the time.
Yeah.
What is the difference? Why are they so damn good, and why are we struggling here in Germany? What's the key difference?
I think this, Silicon Valley has a long history, with, actually putting innovation forward. It was something that was decided by the government in the 30s, right? It's like 70 years old, and we are just about to start here in Germany. That's one thing, I guess. And the other thing is like that, you have like entrepreneurs taking huge risk all the time, and the people work a lot. When I go to Berlin Mitte, no offense to Berlin Mitte people here, I see like many people, chilling in cafes, working in front of their computers. In Silicon Valley, it's always working. It's like you start at 5 a.m. and you finish when the work's done, and you work on weekends. There's no vacation, there's no work-life balance.
That doesn't sound very good.
If you want to, I'm covering the whole technology industry out of Silicon Valley. Work-life balance, forget work-life balance. Seriously. I think
Okey-dokey.
It's not,
So your message to all of us is, like, forget work-life balance.
Forget.
Work harder.
Exactly. Work harder.
Let's work harder.
Yeah, you can tweet that.
Very good. Interesting.
What I think is interesting, it's not that people are totally different, or that there's something in the water, which makes people genius in the morning and in the evening. It's just that they have another attitude. And I think that's something that's probably familiar to you as well, because, during your career that started like when you were 10 years old, it was a lot about discipline, it was a lot about, mentality, having the right mindset. And I think if you want to achieve something, you have to put all the energy you have behind it.
Yeah, but
right?
The key thing that I learned in my life as a sportsman, which goes against what you just said, better life, better performance. Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's what I. And that's really the key message that I would like to also share with the business world, because I'm
Okay.
sorry about that, huh? But,
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's totally fine.
but I am very, very sure with what I've experienced that
Okay.
it's so important to learn and to find the discipline to balance your life. And I met Philip Schindler recently, who's one of our leading tech experts, at Google, and it was so inspiring because he lives that. He really is so disciplined. Yeah, he does meditation. He watches his nutrition, his sleeping hours. When he gets home, phone is off, family time. Weekends, no phone, family time.
Okay.
And it was really, really inspiring to hear that. And so
This is
I'm
something
very
you do
sorry.
as
Yeah?
well?
I'm very sorry,
Yeah.
but I really, really strongly recommend that. I did it to become world champion.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately, because
Yeah.
all the pressure is gone, I've sort of lost a little bit. But now with inspirations like that, I'm fighting to get back into that
Okay.
mode, because I'm so convinced that's the way to live.
So how do you? Okay. And how do you do that? Do you have like a schedule, to get up and then, in the morning do emails and then meet entrepreneurs? So how does your day look like?
Yeah, that's it. It's really routine. Yeah, routine is everything. And so it's in the morning. It would be, at the moment, unfortunately, as I said, not. But it would be meditation, 10 minutes. Yeah. Then healthy breakfast, do a bit of sports. Then start into the workday. Lunch, spend 15, 20 minutes reading. Yeah, reading's so important for us all to make progress as human beings. And progress equals happiness. Yeah, that's the fact. Yeah, that's why when we go to the gym, afterwards we're happy because we make progress. So, and you can get that from reading as well. So in the lunch break, a little bit of reading, afternoon back to work, and then come home, at some point switch off, spend a bit of time with family.
Okay.
That's the way I think to structure it.
So you have like the work-life balance.
Yes.
Okay. Good for you.
But
Good
I'm
for
not
you.
perfect. I'm fighting for it.
Yeah.
And I need
I'm
to
still learning
make
myself as
progress.
well. Yeah.
I need to make progress, just like you.
Okay. Exactly. Yeah.
How are all of you doing on your work-life balance? Good or so-so?
Oh,
So?
yeah. I think
Very
people
good.
are still
Lots of
struggling
thumbs up.
with the Oktoberfest, I guess, right? So when we think about mobility of the future, and I think that's something that's really interesting, we have like big platforms, mobility platforms such as Lyft, as Uber, and you mentioned Google, and you mentioned Facebook as well. It's coming more and more important to ask kind of these ethical questions around algorithms, right? Because in San Francisco, where I live, for example, you can already see that some areas of the cities are better served than others, right? That you have like areas where, more richer people live, you get like a car quicker, you get access to all this technology quicker. And I think like one of the questions when we're looking forward into the mobility of the future is that, everybody, can benefit from the achievements we make with innovations. So when you think about, the societal questions and the ethical questions around algorithms and future of mobility, how should we address this as a society?
I don't have the precise answer. What I know is that all of us need to make sure that that it reaches everybody. But it's
Yeah.
going to take time. Right? It's going to take a lot of time. And
Yeah.
of course, it's going to reach us here in Western civilization first, especially in cities first.
Yeah.
Then comes the rural areas, and then will come developing countries. Yeah, that's the way it's going to be. We just need to make sure that all that happens as seamlessly and as quickly as possible, and raise awareness to that. But I think in general, people are aware of that and go for that.
Do you think politics has to get involved in this kind of questions?
Yeah, of course, they play a big role. Yeah, so I do hope that politics will strongly support that direction. But they are doing that.
Do you talk to them about this? Do you
Germany, I am
Yeah?
in touch. Yeah, actually, yeah, we have a few discussions going on.
Okay,
which
like
is, no, I mean with our Ministry of Transport. I've been have had a few meetings recently, and also talking about new regulations.
Okay.
Third dimension regulations are a hot topic at the moment. Even little scooters in Germany, like incredible story for those of you who don't know, but in Silicon Valley, Bird, is a little kick scooter, electric.
Does anybody know the scooters, like electric scooters?
Most of
I
you
guess
will,
so,
yeah,
right?
have.
Yeah, everybody.
And it's
yeah.
like valuation 2 billion now after like
yeah.
half a year or something crazy.
Yeah.
And Germany doesn't even have a regulation for that. So it needs to be made now. But our transport minister is on it. He's trying to make it happen.
I think it's interesting that we see like e-bikes, for example, we see e-scooters, we see autonomous cars, we see electric cars. It's like, a whole bunch of innovation that, going to be in the cities. And I think like when it comes to regulations, and you mentioned scooters, it was really interesting because the city of San Francisco banned some of them. Right, so they still have to find the right way to address and to deal with this kind of innovations, right? And I think Silicon Valley companies tend to put everything out there, and then ask for not for permission, but for forgiveness later. Do you think that's still the way to go?
Well, it's the best possible marketing in the world, yeah, because you have this. It's like all over the news that it's illegal and all of that. Yeah, so huge marketing, and they know that the U.S. government will very quickly try and accommodate them, which is different to Germany, because in Germany it would be like no, and that's it. So that's a difference also, I think, that we have.
Yeah, I think we really have to change this attitude, though.
More
right?
easygoing,
I think we have to
more spontaneous.
Yeah, we have to experiment more. I mean, nobody knows what's going to be out there, and nobody knows how the future of mobility looks like, right? And I think the only way to find out is to run some experiments, and to have a positive attitude, and to do a little work more, probably.
I
right?
agree. More work, more hours.
Yeah. This has to be our running gag, So when you think about, we are here at the Startup Conference. I think it's really exciting to have this platform for entrepreneurs and for the German startup ecosystem and for the European startup system. When you think about, from your international view, you live in Monaco, you've been to Silicon Valley, you've been to China, you talk to all the, leading entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley and, to politicians here in Germany. What do we have to do to become more part of the innovation game?
Well, first of all, I would also like to say thank you to Bits Pretzels and to all the leaders, because it's awesome to have such events here in Germany, as you just said. Very, very cool to bring all of us together. And I was speaking to one of your founders, Felix, just before, about this topic. And so I can just repeat what we sort of agreed on, that one of the big differences is that the funds that feed the VC funds in America, so the pension funds, the really big players, they have a certain allocation which they can use, for this sort of high-risk stuff. And in Germany, in Series A, Series B, in the massive scale-up phase, when you need the big bucks, to try and blow this through the roof. And in Germany, that's not allowed, for example. It's much more limited. And that's a huge problem, where we said that maybe that is the area where politics could really make a difference, and try and open that up a little bit to allow for more monies to flow into that space.
What I'm asking myself is, how, the automotive industry, for example, could foster more innovation. Because, if we have something in Germany, it's like the automotive industry, right? And you don't, they're like kind of like first experiments with working with startups, but I think we have to see much more in the future. So what could, big companies, Dieter Zetsche, with a friend of yours, what can, big companies, like the big brands, do to foster the ecosystem?
I've seen a lot of them try to do it in-house, and that so does not work.
Yeah.
It just the corporate cannot make it happen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh. So you need to spin it off, but totally make it a separate entity for it to have any kind of chance. Take in outside big player money, but they haven't really been successful at that. So it's not that straightforward. They've been trying what they can to invest in little ones all around, sometimes successfully, but I wouldn't know what the magic bullet is. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's also a question of how much you think about internalization, right? I think when you think about driving your startup, to an international level, you have to think about going to the US, going international. When you start your company, you can't just focus on the German market. You have to go, and spread out and do more than that, right? So what do you think can German entrepreneurs here? They're all in the audience. What would your message be to become like even more powerful, even more successful in their business?
This is a difficult one. Yeah, what can I say? I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. Just keep up the hope. Keep pushing. Don't plan for the exit strategy. Plan to change the world. Try to take that approach somehow. I know it's difficult.
Yeah.
That's it. And hope for a general movement that we can all raise awareness together and make progress together. We have to push all of us flat out together. Otherwise, we're going to keep falling behind, which is a dangerous situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you agree? Let's push together.
Do you miss being in a car?
No. For me, it's done. I'm a closed chapter.
Closed chapter?
Completely. Very, very happy the way it is.
Work-life balance now?
Very, very happy the way it is, yes. Yeah.
Any, things you are excited about? Any, startups you want to invest next? Any innovations you are thrilled? I mean, we talked about, flying cars with Volocopter. Anything in the technology industry that you are excited about?
I have a huge startup myself, actually, now, finally, which I've done. So I'm right in the process of building it up. Unfortunately, a little bit too early to speak about, so I can't say any details. I'm very, very sorry.
Okay.
But I'm really excited about that. It's
so
full in sustainable technologies.
Is it an
also
electronic vehicle company?
No, not that.
Okay, is
more,
it an
more
e-car
exciting.
company?
No.
Does it have something to do with mobility?
I'll share the news soon. Yes,
okay.
Mobility, yeah.
Are you funding it yourself?
Yes.
Oh, cool. So do you have partners in the business from the traditional industry?
No, come on.
Yeah? What's the name?
No.
Done,
That's it.
Thanks, Nico Rosberg. It was fun talking to you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Can you go now?
You good?
Yeah! That was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, my man. Quick question.
Yeah.
Do you want to take questions from the floor?
Sure.
One question? Because
Yeah.
we have 2 minutes.
Let's go for it.
That was an amazing keynote. Better life, better performance.
How are you on that?
Progress is happiness.
Good life?
Dude, you and I are on the same page about this. It's about mindfulness, and I'm not going to disagree with the world champ, please. No, that was really good. Some good nuggets, and thank you for engaging on Twitter. Some amazing stuff. Any questions on stage? Can we get a mic, please? A handheld mic. We didn't put Slido on, but since we have him, anyone got an epic question to ask? All you have to do is show me your hand if you got an epic. It has to be epic, not a normal question.
Even just a normal question is okay, huh?
Really?
Don't put it too high expectation.
If you have an average question, please come on out. Do you have a question?
I have a question, but not epic. Can I have an autograph?
I don't know.
Okay, that's a good question.
Okay, but no more autographs. It's not a thing that we do here, but that's fine. That is fine. Yes. You've got a question? Come on up, come here. You're very kind. Thank you for doing that. But yeah, come on up over here, my man, and ask the question. I'm going to hold the mic. You go.
Hi. It's not related to startups, but nobody ever could answer the question. It's percent-wise, how much is the skill related, like Formula One, how much is skill related to the driver and how much is the car actually? Like the best driver in the worst car, would he still win? Or would the worst driver in the best car still win?
Good question. Thank you, man.
So we have the best driver, who is one of the best drivers is Alonso, and he's driving a McLaren, and he has been last for the last 4 years because he just has a terrible car. And so that's probably the best way to explain it, that you need the good car to be able to win the races. And then between the drivers, there's then very little difference. Once you get to being in the best car, it's maybe a couple of tenths between the drivers, but the huge difference is between the cars, where it's like 2-3 seconds sometimes, huge. Unfortunately, yeah. Good for the people in the best cars.
Excellent. Excellent. Nico is going to be back on the panel, so go freshen up, get some makeup done. You don't need
See you in a
it.
bit.
But let's give him a hand.
Bye-bye.